demonstration.
So in this video we will address lithography. Lithography can have different types of matrices. The traditional one is a big slab of limestone, really thick, really heavy. But it can also be an aluminum plate. In this case, here is an aluminum plate. It's a special kind of aluminum that has been treated on the surface. It's grained. And in this case, the artist Eric Zimmerman, who was a visiting artist with us some years ago, that's his illegible signature there, drew this, and it's a mix of drawing media. It's some litho crayon, it's some lithographic touche, two different touches there, and it's also going back into the image once it had gotten quite dark and bringing out some of these lighter things afterwards. And here's the print. Litho can be distinguished by a number of things. We refer to lithography as planographic, which means that you're not physically changing the surface of the matrix. You can see this is completely smooth, and this is smooth. There's no embossment at the edge anywhere. You're not cutting into the matrix at all. Lithography is based on the antipathy of grease and water. So if you want an area to print, we process the matrix so that the printing area is grease-loving and the non-printing area is water-loving. So that if we have a thin quantity of water over this whole thing, when we roll over it with a greasy ink, the ink will only stick to the grease-loving area. And so you charge the plate that way, and then when the plate is charged, or the matrix is charged, then you can put the paper on there and print, run it through the press. That's the essence of it. There will be further videos that give demonstrations of it. Lithography can hold a very tiny dot. So if you look at certain details like that little bit of touche wash right in there, there's a lot of really subtle value happening in there and really tiny quantities of ink that are transferring to the print. So lithography is capable of really great subtlety and great fidelity to the original image. If you want to put it in halftone terms, you can easily do 110 or 100 or higher dots per inch. So that's approaching a dot size that is really almost impossible to the naked eye without a magnifying glass or a loupe. And lithography often feels like drawing because the making of the image on the matrix is just a process of drawing, oftentimes. And the fidelity from this to this is often quite good. So the final print could easily be mistaken as a drawing because of that. Another lithograph here, Catherine Polk is her name. She is an artist based in Tucson, Arizona. This is a two-color, two-layer lithograph, the red and the black. In this case, I'm not sure which was printed first, the red or the black, and I don't think it matters. The black was probably done on a litho stone, and the red was probably done in a different way, like a polyester plate or something. But she's using a mix of drawing techniques on the litho stone to produce the black layer. First and foremost is litho crayon, so these fine line work in here, all the subtle shading that you're seeing in there, that's all lithographic crayon that she's using to do that. Then out here she's got some funky stuff. She's playing with some cloth tarlatans here to get that texture. This is more tarlatan over here. She's probably scraped away at the image on the stone at one point to achieve these kinds of textures over here. To arrive at this really subtle range of values, from full-on black to the lightest of possible grays and everything in between. She's a really fantastic artist. Lots of good work. This is a print from Bove Lions. He teaches printmaking at the University of Tennessee at Knoxville. This is a multi-layer, multicolor lithograph. So I'm not sure we can reverse engineer exactly how many layers are in this, but you can see, like, obviously this is a green rectangle. There's a little bit of green in there. There's some browns. There's a very dark, warm black. So I can't tell you precisely how many layers, but quite a few. And they may have been produced on a lithostone. They could have been printed from an aluminum plate as well, and it could also be both. That is to say, one layer could be on a stone and other layers could be on plate. This texture there could actually come from either a stone or an aluminum plate, or even a photolitho plate, depending on a number of factors. Nonetheless, he printed the layers in succession, probably with the dark key layer last. His work for many years has dealt with this kind of fictitious zoology, where he makes up creatures, and he's borrowing from a long tradition of zoological imaging of animals, of newly discovered animals. In fact, on the back he has this little stamp, Association for Creative Zoology. So he's making up these creatures that look kind of scientifically plausible. And another really great litho artist is Michael Barnes, who teaches at a university in Illinois. And this is a multi-layer, multicolor lithograph. There is a very clear key layer. So all of the really dark and detailed information is coming from the key. That one is printed last. First, he printed these colors, so the red, the yellow, the blue, but there's also small quantities of color in these areas down here. So the raft has a little bit of yellow in it. Even these dark areas here have little bits of color that help this be a rich surface. So even though this is not like an obvious color, there's tiny, tiny little bits of color in there that help make that a rich surface. Same with any part of the image that's got a lot of richness to it. As is often the case in printmaking, you want to build up multiple layers in concert so that you achieve this kind of great richness that would be difficult, if not impossible, from printing only a single layer of ink. But he really spends a lot of time drawing, and the subtlety involved here is really pretty amazing. So even these very subtle shifts of value, and of course all the crazy detail too. So that does it for lithography. I don't think I have anything else to add, so we can call that video done.